expect your block friends to applaud your recovery. They want you to stay stuck. They are not going to cheer you on as you start making art or meeting with a coach to help you get to that next level. Any step that you take that you are so proud of because you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, they are not going to support you. Hi there, welcome to my channel, Define Deshay. My name is Deshay and I am a mindset coach backed by faith. Now, if you are joining us again from last week when we started The Artist's Way, welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about week 2. Now, if you are new to my channel, welcome. We appreciate you here. And I just want to announce that if you have not seen week 1, you need to tune into that video. That was an amazing message highlighting the recovering a sense of safety. So I would highly suggest jumping to that video, watching it, and then tuning back in with us as we start week 2, where we are going to be discussing recovering a sense of identity. Ooh. Now, if I could be completely honest with you, this week has been a challenging week for me. Just reading kind of the areas that were discussed and seeing how they've kind of translated in my life. This week was a wake-up call. Let's say it was that. It was a wake-up call in really identifying who I have been, who I have been surrounding myself with, and how I want to improve in the future. So that was week 2. Let's go ahead and dive in and talk about recovering a sense of identity. So there are 5 areas that are within this section. So number 1, going sane. 2, poisonous playmates. Ooh, that one got me. Then there was crazy makers, skepticism, and attention. Those are the 5 areas that were touched on in week 2, and we are going to just take out the time to dissect kind of my interpretation of those sections and how I felt as I was reading through. Now, are you ready? I know I'm ready, so let's go ahead and get started. So, first section, going sane. So the very first section that I ended up highlighting, it says, it is important to remember that at first flush, going sane feels like going crazy. So as you are walking in your recovery journey, it's going to feel weird. It's going to feel like pieces are falling apart, that you are going crazy. People are going to think you're going crazy because you're doing things that you usually didn't do. You're acting out of your usual norm. So it's going to feel a little bit off. But knowing that you are working towards the person that you want to be, that's the important piece. You have to let go of your old self so that you can become something new. A video that I recently uploaded talked about how as you are growing, you have to let your past self die. You have to let them go because you can't hold on to who you used to be while you're also growing into who you are meant to be. So sit on that a little bit. So the next thing that kind of hit me in this section is that as we gain strength, so will some of the attacks of self-doubt. So as you are elevating yourself to that next level, those self-doubts, those tiny voices, they're going to come into your head saying, are you really doing this? Are you really able to accomplish this? All of those little tiny voices are going to start having you doubt yourself in your abilities. And those are what you call symptoms of recovery. They're symptoms. Self-doubt is a symptom of recovery. And I had wrote down, self-doubt will come, stop the thoughts before it is finished. So when you feel like you're about to doubt yourself, it will come. There will be those moments, but you have to stop yourself mid-sentence. Once you start feeling, oh, I can't, stop it. Don't allow for that sentence to finish, because you're not trying to manifest that energy in your life. You have to neutralize them. And one thing that I also figured out is that when we doubt ourselves, we are actually doubting God, because God made that promise to us. He put that purpose in our lives. He is the one who is wanting us to pursue a certain goal. So when we doubt what we are capable of, we are doubting what He is capable of in our lives. So know that when you self-doubt yourself, that you are not doubting your capabilities, you're doubting His capabilities. And we don't want to do that over here. No to that. We want to walk in faith and be confident in what God has put in our will to be completed. So that is something that really, really hit me with going sane. It was just really dissecting how self-doubt causes us to self-sabotage ourselves. We cannot allow ourselves to stop once the progress is progressing. Once we see that it is a possibility for us to achieve the life that we want. It's so important that we don't cave in to our self-doubts. So that was the going sane section. Clean and crisp, straight to the point. We cannot self-doubt ourselves. Now, when I tell you the poisonous playmates section had me on my toes, oh my gosh. This section talks about so many different things and how the people that we surround ourselves can influence how we work towards our goals. So let's get into it. Poisonous playmates. So the very first section that I ended up highlighting, it says, not surprisingly, the most poisonous playmates for us as recovering creatives are people whose creativity is still blocked. Our recovery threatens them. What I wrote down, misery likes company. If you are surrounded by people who are creatives, or they have dreams, they have ambitions, but they sit around and do nothing. They talk about it. They love to talk about it. They like to compare themselves to other. Oh, I could be doing that. I could do that. But they're lacking in the action. They're lacking in actually following through in what they are meant to do. They would rather sit around and complain about how their life hasn't changed, how things are still going the way that they're going, instead of actually going and doing what they know they're supposed to do. But as you are recovering and you're actually working towards your goals, they don't want to hang out with you no more, because they know that you are trying to make it to the next level. And once they realize that it is a possibility for them to make it to the next level too, that scares them. That is a scary thing, especially if you want to stay stuck. So the next thing that I ended up highlighting is that do not expect your blocked friends to applaud your recovery. They want you to stay stuck. They are not going to cheer you on as you start making art or meeting with a coach to help you get to that next level. Any step that you take that you are so proud of because you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, they are not going to support you. But that's also a sign that this person is a poisonous playmate. If you go to someone and try to tell them, oh, I'm achieving this, I stepped out of my comfort zone and I did this, and they're giving you the cold shoulder, that's a sign right there. That is a poisonous playmate. And now you know who you can share your victories with and who maybe you need to cut off because they're not at the level, the maturity level that you are reaching. They're not there yet. It's okay. They can get there, but that's on them, not on you. Now it talks a little bit about kind of the toxic behaviors that the poisonous playmate might start doing to kind of get you sucked back in to your block status. So the first section I end up highlighting says, be particularly alert to any suggestions that you have become selfish or different. Now, the fact is, yes, you are different. You're not the same person you used to be. You are trying to grow and evolve. We're elevating over here. But when they point it out to you and make it seem like it's a bad thing, no. You're not about to do that. You have to be aware, be alert, because that's how they're trying to pull you back into your old patterns. That's how they're trying to reel you back in, but you can't allow that because you know that your recovery is more important than anything else. And it talks about how they will try to pull you back into your old ways for the sake of them and their comfort, not your own. You're tired of just sitting around, not working towards your goals. You're starting to feel fulfilled from putting your steps into action, but they want to reel you back in. They want to be comfortable knowing that there's somebody else living within their misery, but you're not that person anymore. You're growing, you're evolving. So they will also try to guilt trip you, make you feel that you are a bad friend, that you are a bad partner, that you are not doing what you need to do to support them, but in reality, you are supporting yourself. You're finally putting yourself first, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And one thing that I really loved that was mentioned in this book is that you will be led to new sources of support as you begin to support yourself. More people will come. Your community will come. If you have to let go a lot of old friends, old relationships, just for you to grow into the person you are meant to be, it is supposed to happen. Don't let them prevent you from growing. Don't let their insecurities and their mindset to keep you stuck where you currently are. You have to support yourself, and the people that are meant to be in your life will come into your life. And then it talks about how we have to nurture ourselves. The full sentence says, the essential element in nurturing our creativity lies in nurturing ourselves. Put yourself first. Put yourself first. You have to do what is best for you. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot, it is literally impossible. If you are giving all you can give to support others, to help them do this, help them do this, and they don't even want to do it for themselves, you have to fulfill your purpose, what you are meant to do. And with that, you are able to pour into others. It's called the overflow for a reason. Then you have an abundance of resources to fill into the people around you. But if you are already drained, you don't feel fulfilled yourself, then it's not going to work. Take out the time to nurture and support yourself. So in the poisonous playmate section, it also says that The great creator has gifted us with creativity. Our gift back is our use of it. Do not let friends squander your time. So, if you are meant to use your creativity, use it as a way to give back to God, because He's gifted you with this magnificent talent, this magnificent skill. He has put it in your heart to follow a certain path. Don't allow the people around you to squander that. Don't let them stop you from doing what you are meant to do, stopping you from being who you are meant to be. God is calling you. He gave you that gift. Now, how wrong is it for you to receive a gift from somebody and not use it, not show your appreciation? Take out the time to use it to fulfill your will. So, how this section ends up getting closed off, and I absolutely love this sentence. It says, your own healing is the greatest message of hope for others. And how I read that is that you cannot change people. You cannot heal people. You have to heal yourself, become who you are meant to be. You have to fulfill your own purpose. And once they see you elevating and growing and maturing into the person you are meant to be, that gives them the hope that they can make those same changes for themselves. You can be that representation, that light to show them that there is victory at the end of the tunnel. So that was the section about poisonous playmates. And I love how it talked about kind of the people surrounding you and how they will guilt trip you. They will have those toxic behaviors, those toxic traits. But you have to be guarded. You have to be protected and know that your healing is the direction that you need to go in. That you have to protect yourself, put up that guard as you are recovering, because you don't want to fall back into those same endless cycles. You want to become the person you were truly meant to be, and they will see it. And if they are ready to start their own journey, they will. So we're only 2 sections in, and it has already blown my mind. So now let's go ahead and get into the crazy makers. And it's labeled the crazy makers for a reason. And it talks about how people will manipulate you in certain ways, or make you do certain things that prevent you from really fulfilling your purpose at the end of the day. But it also shows how you can be aware of who is a crazy maker in your life. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing that I ended up highlighting about the crazy makers is that crazy makers discount your reality. So no matter how important a task is for you, how important it is for you to go to bed early or finish this project, make time for you to do a certain thing, they will discount it. They'll be like, I know you said that you needed to do this, but I really need your attention on this. I really need you to help me with this. They will want you to prioritize them rather than you prioritizing yourself and keeping your promises to yourself. So I had wrote out that this person is someone who devalues your priorities and makes you feel bad about it. So if you say, no, I actually can't do this, I need to prioritize the thing that I said that I wanted to do, they will make you feel bad about it. They will make you feel like you are not doing what you promised them. But in reality, you already set in stone what you were trying to accomplish. So that is that. they will discount your reality. So the next thing is that crazy makers are expert blamers. So when something goes wrong, they can't take accountability for it. They will blame everybody else for what's going on in their lives and not taking accountability for their faults and their contributions to it. So I have wrote out that people who cannot take accountability or even see your viewpoints are dangerous. So if you've ever been in a situation where you've had kind of a disagreement, you just see things differently, and you try to have a conversation with them, and one, they can't take accountability for how they possibly hurt your feelings, or two, they can't even see your viewpoint on the situation, that is dangerous. I feel like there's a certain level of maturity too when you are able to truly at least see the viewpoints of other people around you, knowing that the way you see the world is not the only viewpoint there is. So be very cautious of people who cannot see the viewpoints that you are trying to bring to their attention when they have hurt you or they have done something wrong. So that's something that I really had to highlight because it speaks true to my heart. I've been in multiple situations like that, and it is a dangerous thing. It makes you rethink if this is even someone you want to keep in your life. So the next thing is that crazy makers hate schedules. So they will do anything in their power to abuse your time, abuse your commitments, to kind of disorganize the things that you have already set out to do. And one thing that I ended up writing out is that time is one of your most powerful resources. You have to be selfish with your time. If you told yourself that you were going to sit down and read a book just for 30 minutes, you have to hold your promise to yourself. You cannot allow for the people around you and their excuses to prevent you from doing the things that you set out for yourself. Something that I recently found very important, especially as I've been reading The Artist's Way, is that you have to keep your promises to yourself. We discount our own promises. We tell ourselves, okay, I'm going to sit down and focus on my business. I'm going to sit down and start planning out my next step so that I can reach this goal. We make so many promises for ourselves, but then someone comes up out of the blue. It's like, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? Can you do this? And we set ourselves to the side and we're like, oh, I guess I can do this next week. Oh, I can do this maybe a little bit later. And we prioritize them. But your body remembers that. Your mind, you're setting up patterns that you cannot hold promises for yourself. So you have to be aware of that. You need to hold yourself as a priority. If you told yourself you were going to do something, you do it. Because just as if you made a promise to somebody else, you want to hold yourself accountable for completing that. You don't want that person to look at you differently, but treat yourself the same way. If you made that promise to yourself, keep that promise. So kind of going into the end of the Crazy Makers section, it talks about as frightening and abusive as life with a crazy maker is, we find it far less threatening than the challenge of a creative life of our own. Isn't that crazy? Let me go ahead and read that again. As frightening and abusive as life with a crazy maker is, we find it far less threatening than the challenge of a creative life of our own. So basically, it's telling us that our bodies Our minds are more comfortable living in a familiar toxic environment than venturing into the unknown, living a life that is new but unknown. We don't know what's on the other side, but we would rather stay in the known, familiar, toxic environment, surrounded by people who aren't the best for us only because it is familiar. Now, is that an interesting concept? Something that we most definitely need to break free from. And then it continues with your grace maker is a block you chose yourself to deter you from your own trajectory. We chose to be in that situation. We chose to have them as our friend. We chose to have them as our partner, especially once they have shown certain signs that they don't want to see us grow, that they don't want to see us propel. We chose those situations. So by allowing the grace makers to hold us back, you are actually holding yourself back because you can cut that tie. You can. It is something that you can do, but you have to allow yourself to do it. Acknowledge it that you chose this situation, and that once you get tired of it enough and you are truly ready to grow and become the person you are meant to be, you will do what you need to do. You will break that tie because it's necessary. So, it's kind of crazy because it kind of leads me to this scenario or this topic that my sister ended up telling me about. And it's about eagles and crows. So, no other animal, no other bird bothers an eagle except for a crow. And what they do is, as the eagle is trying to fly, the crow will just get on top of the crow's, get on top of the eagle's back and just hold on. Now, the eagle doesn't fight it, it doesn't do anything. All it does is fly higher, fly even higher than it can go, because the eagle, it knows that it can reach the top, but the crow, it can't withstand that pressure, that part of the atmosphere. So the crow eventually falls off. So my question for you is, do you have crows on your back right now? Do you have people holding on, trying to make you fall? People who are trying to keep you at a certain level, who are just piggybacking off of you? Realize that as you step into the path that you are meant to go, that as you get higher and higher and closer to your destiny, they are going to fall off because they can't be in that space because it does not support them. They still have that negativity tied to them. So you have to keep moving forward. You have to keep pushing because you just have to let them fall off. They aren't meant to go to the same level as you. So acknowledge that and keep growing. So that was the crazy makers section. Now we're going to go into skepticism. So in these sections going forward, it's talking about how we as ourselves end up holding ourselves back, how we end up preventing ourselves from progressing because of those inner thoughts that come into our head. So the first thing that I end up highlighting in this section is about the secret of doubt. So doubts are very powerful. And I talked a little bit about this in the section about going insane. Doubts will creep in, but you have to acknowledge them and push them away. Nope, I'm not gonna do it. I know exactly what path I'm going on and that it is achievable, so I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm not going to allow those doubts to prevent me from becoming the person I am meant to be. So the next section I ended up highlighting, and in the book she was kind of showcasing kind of an individual who wanted to go into the creative industry, but kind of kept holding himself back. So in the section, she ended up saying at the end that he made it harder on himself than the universe may have intended. Have you ever made a situation harder than it had to be? Overcomplicated, overanalyzed, and then when you actually did it, you're like, oh, that was actually easier than I thought. We tend to make things harder than they actually have to be. God has already mapped out our lives and what we're supposed to do. Yeah, there's going to be ups and downs and trials, but that just helps us get to our path. But you get to determine if you reaching your goal takes 1 year or it takes 10 years, or if it takes 20 years. You are the deciding factor, because it's supposed to be a smooth transition, you following God's plan for you. But once you start pulling back, you're hesitant, you're doubtful, that's when that friction is there, which prevents you from getting the blessing in the time span that God initially intended. You have to be aware of that. Are you making it harder on yourself than it actually needs to be? So let's go to the next section. What I highlighted next says, we still feel too much like a fraud to handle some success. That's that imposter syndrome. That's that imposter syndrome saying that, oh, I'm making these steps, I'm taking a chance, I'm doing what I need to do, but I'm a fraud. I shouldn't be doing this, those self-doubts. But I don't even know if it's necessarily faking it till you make it, but it kind of is. When you are walking into something new, you are a beginner. We talked about this last week. You are a beginner, so you have to understand it's going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to feel the best because you are still learning the ins and outs of navigating within that space. You cannot compare yourself to people who have been in that industry, been in that field for years. They're already at their level 30. You are starting at level 1. You're figuring it out for yourself, and you have to embrace that and know that as you grow, you gain the experience that you need to propel yourself. So you can't be a fraud if you are doing what you were meant to do. You are just a beginner. You got to change your word, change your mindset, and propel yourself that way. So the next thing that I ended up highlighting, this is kind of towards the end of the skepticism section. It says, creative recovery is an exercise in open-mindedness. So you need to exchange the skepticism for exploration. You need to be on the lookout for different areas that can propel you to where you are trying to go. Because we kind of outline kind of the goal that we want to achieve, what we want to do. And we see tiny fragments on how we can reach that goal. But God, He has the big picture. He sees it all. So there's one step that we probably can't see for ourselves, but we have to be open. We have to be willing to explore going outside of our comfort zone, going outside of what we planned to help us reach that bigger picture. So be open. Be willing to explore different avenues that will get you to the goal that you are trying to achieve. So next, and the last section, is talking about attention. Now, if I can be completely honest with you, this section had me a little bit confused. And I would love to get your input on some of the sections that I highlighted, where I was just like, what does this really mean? What does this really mean for my growth and who I'm trying to identify in myself? So the section that I ended up highlighting that I felt importance in, but I couldn't really figure out what does this truly mean. So I would love to hear your input in the comments. So I ended up highlighting survival lies in sanity. Insanity lies in paying attention. So what does that mean to you? And I would love to kind of explore kind of how that sentence translates in your life. So what I really appreciated about the attention section was that it felt that in life we're going to face challenges, we're going to have problems, but we need to be able to pay attention to the beautiful things that are surrounding us. We need to be able to pay attention that even though we face this challenge, we are still going to be able to grow from it, that we are going to be okay. So something that I ended up highlighting, it says, in times of pain, when the future is too terrifying to contemplate and the past too painful to remember, I have learned to pay attention to right now. In the exact now, we are all always all right. So being in the moment, being present in the now, that even though what you went through was terrifying, challenging, and it almost broke you, and that you can't even figure out what your future is going to be. There's just so much confusion, but just knowing that right now, in this moment, you are safe, you are okay, that things are all right in this moment. So being more attentive to where you are right now, focusing on where you are in the now. So in the attention section, it also has rules for the road. And two things that I found very important is that it says set small and gentle goals and meet them. So we end up setting outlandish goals for ourselves, huge goals that sometimes feel a little bit hard to achieve. And when I hear it saying set small and gentle goals and meet them, it allows for you to give yourself grace. When you set a really high goal, for example, if you say every day I'm going to work out for an hour, and then one day you miss out on reaching that goal, you start feeling bad about yourself. You start feeling like, oh my gosh, I can't hold the things that I've set out to do. It's because you set your goal too high, especially if you're not even used to working out. But by setting small and gentle goals, such as I want to be a little bit more consistent with working out, I can do 15-minute workouts 3 times a week. It allows for you to give yourself grace and to work your body into the ability of doing it and achieving that. And then once you've hit that, you've become secure in achieving that, then you're able to add on to it. You're able to increase it. Okay, I did 15 minutes, now let me go to 30. Okay, now I can go to an hour. Or whatever your goal is, finding the baby steps. It all starts with baby steps and working your way up, because you're learning something new. You can't hold so much pressure on yourself when you're trying to achieve and do something new. So another thing that I really loved and highlighted in the rules of the road is, great creator, I will take care of the quantity, you take care of the quality. So as you are a beginner and learning who you are meant to be, you just need to focus on the action, doing what you need to do, building up those routines and habits that align with the goals that you are trying to achieve. So focusing on the quantity of it, and God will focus on the quality. He will allow for you to learn new things from the different elements that you create. For example, when I first started creating content, when I first started creating videos, the first videos that I made, I was just learning how to talk to my audience, learning how to position myself, lighting, the background, all these different features that I didn't know what to do. But I started. Some of my videos, the lighting was really dark, and I had to get that feedback like, ooh, I need to change where I am positioned. So being aware, it allows for you to grow in the areas and improve the quality of what you're making, but you have to make it first to find those improvements. So that was the end of week 2, recovering a sense of identity. Now, wasn't that a mind-opening experience? Dissecting that and realizing the areas that we need to be aware of, how we need to pay attention to the people that we are surrounding ourselves with, but then also knowing how we can self-sabotage ourselves, how we can let our own self-doubts, our own insecurities prevent us from propelling once we start seeing that it is a possibility for us to reach the goal that we want. So week 2 is done, but I'm still going to be paying attention to the lessons that I've learned here. And I would love for you to take out the time and put in the comments, what are some soft, small, gentle goals that you can set for yourself to reach your end goal? What are those small, gentle tasks that you can do? That's your action item. That is your action item for today. What are some small, gentle goals that you can set to achieve the person that you are meant to be? Now, that was week 2. I want y'all to be on the lookout for week 3. I don't want y'all to miss this content because we are really sitting down and analyzing what the Artist Way is providing for us to reach our true potential. So week 3 is going to be about recovering a sense of power. Now, doesn't that sound good? So I don't want you to miss out. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel, put on those post notifications, and be aware of when I post the next message. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have made it to the end, I truly appreciate every single one of y'all. And right now, we are just elevating. We're getting to the next level. We are not allowing anything to hold us back. Now, you got this.